What is up, everybody? Fun little Monday morning for you. We'll get this one up. Maybe your morning commute. Maybe you'll save it for your afternoon commute home. Another episode, Hobby with Cage, and we're gonna sprinkle a little positivity in this morning. Let's sprinkle this positivity. This AM is brought to you by currently our three sponsors. We got Bleecker Trading. We had a Hobby Rip Night this past night. We got an event coming up with an artist, King Saladin. Check it out. RSVP to them if you want to show up at that event. You got My Slabs weekly auctions, another killer auction last Friday, and another one coming up this Friday. And Arena Club slab packs. Go check them out. Loads of fun, and they sell out really fast. So jump on over to Arena Club. There's 30 seconds right there. Let's get into it, man, because what a weekend we had here. Not only were the crazy auctions ending this past weekend, but I'm going to talk about something, right? The space is interesting, right? The hobby is interesting. There's never a lack of stuff to talk about here. There's always something going on. And there's always something to be critical about too, right? And that's just kind of the way that it is. I remember watching as a kid a Mel Brooks movie. It was History of the World Part 2, even though there was never really Part 1. History of the World, right? And it was like cavemen time, right? And the birth of an artist, and they have this caveman drawing on a wall, and it says, of course, with the birth of an artist immediately was followed by the critic, and a critic pisses on the guy's artwork. That's kind of the way the world works, right? Somebody creates something, and then immediately somebody is looking to tear it down. As soon as something positive happens, there's people looking for negative. And I think we do a good job, generally speaking, of kind of posting both sides of that when it comes to the hobby. But today's episode is going to really lean towards the positivity side. And let's just jump right into it, right? Because if you have logged on to social media in the last couple of days, or if you're logging on this morning, you have to see what Topps did with their Hobby Rip Night on Saturday the 14th. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. It's cool. It's not the first time they've done it, right? But it is, now a repeat thing in the hobby. And when you layer on the Fanatics Fests that they're going to have with all the people that they have there, all of the stars that they bring to that, and the fact that that's going to now come again in November in Orlando, and they're going to be continuing that. And then you layer on the Rips nights and these Hobby Rip nights and you name it. And you can see the hobby front and center. And while the folks in the hobby, probably 99% of people listening to this are like, yeah, we don't really need that. Everybody knows what Topps is. Everybody knows the brand. We have enough publicity. We got enough. We have probably very few people coming on making content this morning laughing about the 10Xing the hobby. And the reason for that is because I don't know if a 10X is 2X is 6X is, it doesn't matter. We don't need the buzzword of it, right? But the money was put where the mouth is this past weekend. And you have to admit that whether it's, like I said, a 2X or a 10X, this was a step towards that. This was a step towards bringing people who might not be watching this episode, might not be listening to this episode, not people who are not in the hobby yet. Maybe they find this. I'm sure they found a post of one of their favorite athletes. I'm sure they saw Mike Trout or Tom Brady or Kevin Hart or Dana White or whoever it is. And maybe they're fans of the sport. Maybe they're fans of Tom Brady playing football and they saw him on television. Maybe they are fans of Kevin Hart's movies, or maybe they're UFC fans and they follow Dana White and they see Dana White doing this stuff. But whatever it is, one, they're trying, and two, it's out there. And the hope is that when you see cards being sold at Ace Hardware, as I've talked about, or at 7-Eleven or at Walgreens again, that it's not sort of the end of this cycle. Because back in the 90s, right, that was what happened. This was like the crest. You had basically this big bloated market and just cards were everywhere. They were on Home Shopping Club, everywhere. And then it just fizzled out. Well, there was no social media and there was no Topps pushing the narrative. There was no Hobby Rip Night then. Sure, the National in Anaheim had record numbers, but only the 100,000 people who were there knew about it. It made some media, it made some newspapers, but it just died down and fizzled. Stuff like this, it has reverberations throughout the sports community that you hope will trickle down or fall back into the hobby. People at work see this stuff. And if they know that you're in the hobby and you're not like hiding it, which some people do, if they know that this is something you do, they will come to you and be like, wow, were you involved in that? Or did you see that Mike Trout was at Average Joe's trading cards with kids? Did you see that? Did you see that Kevin Hart was at Collector's World? Or did you see Bronny or Tom Brady or James Harden or Dr. J or Dana White or Ronald Acuna? That's a hell of a lineup. And I'm just, touching the tip of the iceberg here. That's cool. It's cool stuff. And it gets people talking. It may get people who have kids thinking, wow, when's the next one of these? Or you were able to have your kids go and do, yeah, hell yeah, 100%. Somebody traded cards this weekend with Mike Trout. 100%, right? Now, let's talk about the unsung heroes of this event. Because I give flowers to Fanatics. Nice job, AG. You worked your butt off. As an outsider looking in, it really looked like a very successful night. So kudos to AG. People at Fanatics, give her a raise. It's not easy to pull this together. But you know who else doesn't have it easy? You would think they do. And from the outside looking in, you're like, wow, I would take that. That's great. Burbank, Boomtown, Skybox, Santiago Sports, Bleecker. These are businesses. And yeah, Burbank is huge. Boomtown is great. Santiago knows what he's doing. And Bleecker, you guys know I love the place, right? But they're not businesses like Amazon. They're not like well-oiled machines. These are hobby businesses. These are card shops. And there's a lot of logistics that goes into a night like this. And I know I'm not asking you to feel bad for them because obviously they reap some of the benefits as well. But let's take a minute and take a look. Because Burbank, what a great job they did. They had Cat, they had Carl Anthony Towns. I think Juju was in there also. I mean, there's some cool content. If you haven't seen it, go look at Burbank Cards page. It's Carl Anthony Towns giving cards out, asking trivia about the cards. I wanted to yell through my phone. I know the answer to that. He was the quarterback before Brady. I got a cool number to 25 card of. And when a kid yells Drew Bledsoe, I'm like, yes, somebody knows who Drew Bledsoe is. I mean, literally, I watched the video. I watched that happening. I watched Carl Anthony Towns opening, Topps Composite. And you know what? Now people know who Drew Bledsoe is, which is great. That's not the point. The point is, that's cool. It gets you interested. Maybe you want to buy a box of those cards. And I've bought them with my son for $20 at Ace Hardware. You can go find it. You want to believe it, not believe it. That will potentially bring somebody else into the hobby who wasn't there. Somebody who's a taper, somebody who does drywall, somebody who's buying a hammer, somebody who's buying stuff for their barbecue. They walk into Ace and like, that was that product that Carl Anthony Towns was opening and trading with the kids. I'll bring that home for my kid. It happens. It does. And Burbank to do it, that's pretty awesome. Because Burbank is now, that's a huge name. That's a huge name in the space. And, they sell a lot of cards. And it's cool to see. It's cool what they did. It's cool content. Boomtown Sports, take a second, right? They had Wemby in their store. But let's peel back the layers of this because that's awesome. Topps knows what they're doing. They didn't have Wemby opening basketball cards. No, because they make a lot of stuff and they want to make sure that there's something for everybody. Wemby was opening Star Wars cards. I mean, it's pretty smart. It's pretty smart. Skybox, Connecticut. They had a carnival. I mean, games, basketball, you name it. Last year, that store had Tom Brady. So for an encore this year, how do you top Tom Brady? They brought John the basketball card guy. I mean, that's obviously. Take a look at their content. Pretty awesome. Whole parking lot they had all done up. That's like, take your kid for the day. Have him shoot some baskets, win some prizes, giveaways, and then stick around for, hobby rip night. Forget about it. I mean, it looked amazing. Santiago Sports. You had Ruben there. Had some, pop stars there. Don't ask me to say who it is. It's not my genre, but obviously, I mean, that's a cool thing too. It wasn't just sports. Now it's pop culture. Guys who were in Allen and Ginter, You're spreading it around, making sure that Topps has somebody there to kind of, I don't want to say push the brands, but it's a variety so that there's something available for everybody. And then here in my backyard, Bleeker's got a second store open on the west side if you haven't seen it yet. But the flagship store downtown, Michael Rubin was there. Nestor Cortez, Anthony Volpe were there. They had just finished a game a couple of hours before, and these guys are running to an event at Bleecker. Check it out. I mean, just look at Michael Rubin's page, and you'll see Bleecker Trading right there. Volpe, Nestor, Michael Rubin. But what's in front? This is where they do a good job. Bleecker and a lot of these places. There's a table. It's not me at the table trading with Anthony Volpe, no matter how much I would want it to be. It's kids. It's kids. It's kids who showed up for the event, and they're at the table, and they're trading cards and having an event that will probably keep them in the hobby forever. It's just one of those things. It's like when, the guys who run the National now and run the CSA show, Joe Drelich, you guys know him, had my son able to meet Tyrese Maxey. He'll remember that forever. He made a photo collage for 6th grade this year, and there's a picture of him with Gary Vee. There's a picture of him with Micah Parsons, who he met at Bleecker. A picture of him with Tyrese Maxey, who he met at the Philly show and the CSA show. He met other. I mean, it's cool stuff. It's cool moments that Topps and these shops are creating for kids and for the hobby. And in today's day and age where everything is clippable, everything is, a 15-second, 30-second, 1-minute clip, Topps did a good job, but I have left them out. There were more stores than what I've named, but the stores did a great job, and it's not something that they're used to doing, right? It's not something that's part of, what they do. Burbank, I'm glad they did it, right? Burbank's, their content is warehouse tours. It's come to the back, and I'll find this card for you. Look at all these millions of cards. But now they had Karl Anthony Towns, and they're doing Hobby Rip Night, and it's kids, and it's a good blend of collector and new entrants into the hobby, whether they're collector, investor, whatever it's going to be. It's a nice blend. It's a Monday morning following a great hobby weekend where think about what the space had. Now, I know there are a lot of you out there who are thinking to yourselves, this doesn't impact me at all. And it's fine. We sometimes in the space, we put our arms around our lunchroom, our lunch tray in prison, right? It's like, I don't want anybody taking what's mine. And you're always looking around like, how does what's going on help me? I think with this, you have to take a longer term view, right? And if you're one of the collectors who's a Jordan guy or a LeBron guy, sure, Saturday night might not have made your card collection go up in value. That might not be what you care about. You might just be like, what does this have to do with me? I'm not opening new wax. I'm not ripping. I'm not doing any of this stuff. And that's all well and good. It definitely didn't hurt you. It definitely didn't decrease the value of what you have. It definitely didn't make your stuff any less relevant than it was, but it could have helped you. It could. It's making stores better, right? It's bringing stores, into the future of the hobby. And whether you want to admit it or not, it is bringing more people into the space. And sure, that helps Fanatics. I'm sure they're not doing it from a prurient interest here. It's not all altruism, right? They're a company that needs to make money, and they will make money off of this, 100%. But the hobby will also grow in turn. It doesn't mean because Fanatics is doing better for Fanatics that they're not also in turn making the entire space better for everybody else. And I think this weekend is a great example of how both can be true. I don't know if they made money. I'm sure that over time, selling out products, selling through their product, the stores buying product, it will be a money-making event for them. I'm sure it costs them money to throw this. I mean, it is a multifaceted event across the country. Tom Brady did a game the next day. You know what I mean? On Fox. And yet he was at a store. Dana White had an event at the Sphere in Vegas hours after he was at one of these events. The Yankees, Nestor, Volpe, literally finished playing a game hours before this and had a game the next day. And yet they're still there. I don't know what Kevin Hart had to do. I kind of don't really care. Bronny did not have a game. He may never have a game. Dr. J is awesome. Love you, Dr. J. You get my point. It's not the easiest thing in the world to pull all this together. Ruben's new version of Tops through Fanatics has the ability to do this. And you listening to this should just sit back and enjoy being along for the ride. Because even if you can fold your arms and say, what does this have to do with me? It doesn't help me at all. You have to admit it's not hurting you. And it's probably good for the hobby overall. So I say kudos to the team at Fanatics. And more importantly, kudos to the stores who were involved in this, who helped put it on. The employees of those stores, nice job. You're the unsung heroes too. You're the ones who got the instructions of how to do the event, what kind of content you needed to do with the talent who's going to be there, how to provide security, what cards to have, how to open the packs, how to help the athletes with doing it, you name it. There's a lot behind the scenes that goes into it. So I applaud you guys. Because as an outsider looking in, it was seamless. It was well done. Santiago, nice job. Burbank, the Card Father, nice job. Boomtown. Nice job, Average Joe's, Collector's World. I'm forgetting 100 of you, but, those are the ones that I saw that jumped out at me, And to all the athletes, thank you. This might not be a space you love hanging out in. But the content, it definitely looked like you were having fun. Or maybe some of these athletes stay. Mike Trout is actually collecting cards for his kid, right? That's cool. We all know Giannis collects. The more of that's in the public eye, the better it is for the hobby. And that's all I got to say. A fun little quick episode here on a Monday morning. Again, brought to you by Bleecker Trading. Got an event coming up with King Saladin. My Slabs auctions every Friday. And Arena Club. Grab your slab packs. New sponsors coming soon. Possibly you. Talk to you guys soon. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your week.